Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to have a discussion on carburetors, about how they work, how to identify some of the parts of the carburetor, and we're going to wind up taking this little carburetor apart. Alright, so let's take a look at our carburetor for this morning. Okay, so this is our carburetor. See this flap right here that I can move with this lever? That is called a choke. Now what we need to do is restrict air coming in when we first start it up. It needs to have what's called a rich air-fuel mixture. So more molecules of air to gas than usual. Alright, so rich would mean that I'm sorry, I probably said that wrong. So like say, let's talk about this word, stoichiometric. They say perfect combustion is a mixture of 14.7 to 1 ratio of air to gas. So a rich would probably be somewhere around a 9 to 1 ratio. So on startup you might need a richer air fuel mixture. So we would do that by restricting the air going in by closing a choke. Now your modern cars, they do this automatically. Alright, but back in the day with old cars we used to have to set a choke. You used to have to press the gas pedal really hard one time and it would have electric choke and would set it. Anyone that says that old cars were better than new cars, crazy. I used to have so much trouble starting my old cars. Another choke they used to have was they used to have a lever underneath the dash. You'd have to pull this lever, start the car up, and manually slowly push it back in to control the choke. This little lever here, this controls the gas coming in and out of our gas tank. And then we have another lever. This is called our throttle. So closed would be idle. That would be full throttle. You might have heard that saying before. Wide open throttle. So this would be you at idle and then full throttle. That would control the RPM of an engine. RPM, if you don't know what RPM stands for, revolutions per minute of our crankshaft. So it's actually a measurement of how fast this crank is spinning. So most cars idle at somewhere around 800, and if you were racing, you might shift somewhere around 6,500, 7,000 RPMs. Got parts moving really fast inside your motor doing that. Alright, this part here, fuel bowl. This is where things usually go wrong. People wind up, say your lawnmower, you don't use it for 6 months or longer. Gasoline sits in the bowl. The new gasoline isn't like the old gasoline. It has ethanol in it. The ethanol eats away at carburetor parts. There's a huge problem going on today with bad carburetors. Seems to be a constant. I probably got like 3 engines laying around the shop that have bad carburetor issues. Alright, so once again, our throttle, our choke, which we need for startup, and this other lever is for turning the gas on and off for the gas tank. So say like for instance, I wasn't going to run my engine for a long time. While my engine was running, I would shut my gas off, and that would keep gas from going in my bowl and would wind up using all the gasoline in here, and I'd have less problems going on inside my carburetor. The other thing you can do is you can shut your gas off, and you can take this bolt out and you can drain it for like the winter. Alright, so we're going to take this fuel bowl off. I'm going to have to do something with this camera though to get you guys have a better angle at it. Sorry guys. There we go. So, just dropped my choke. I'll get it later, see where it went. During Hurricane Sandy, a lot of people had not used their generators in a while, and they weren't starting up. And I must have fixed like 7 of them. Oh, this thing's got gasoline in it. What was going on? From gasoline sitting in it just like this one was, it would go bad. And some carburetors, they have, the jets are actually part of the bolt. This one isn't like that. They had holes in them. They were filled with dirt, and I just had to clean them out. So this is our fuel bowl. Oh, it's nice and clean inside. Now here, this is called a float and a needle and seat. So that is what controls the fuel coming in and out of our motor. So I'm going to take my pin out. I'm going to lift my float out. And then you could probably see that little needle there. this needle winds up going into a hole right there, and that shuts the gas off. So when the floats all the way up, sorry, I'm having trouble getting this back in. I don't know if you see it, but when that needle shuts in there, no gas comes in. But then when the float drops, fuel comes in, called a needle and seat and a float. Now in this particular carburetor, the jet is right dead center, so that'd be the part you'd have to clean out. Looks like it's got a little flathead. I could probably remove it and wind up cleaning it out with carb cleaner. I've seen some of those totally blocked up. I know this is a good carburetor, but later on in the week we're probably going to be taking some carburetors apart. I got a lot of bad engines outside. But I wanted you guys to see a visual of a float, a needle, a seat, a jet, fuel bowl, the bolt that holds it on, that on most motors have a hole in it. That's usually where your jet is. Alright, let's talk a little bit about how a carburetor works. I don't know if you guys can see it, but we have this outer hole, but if you look inside the carburetor, it goes to a smaller hole, and then it gets big again. Alright? And if you look dead center, that little brass tube is where the fuel goes in from here and comes out that little tube. But how does it push it out there? It's called Bunelli's principle. Things travel from a high pressure to a low pressure. So I got a quick little drawing here. This shape is called a Venturi shape. And when air flows through it, in this narrow area becomes low pressure. The air pushing down on our fuel here becomes high pressure, and the fuel winds up traveling and being drawn right into this area, into a mist atomizing, giving us our air-fuel ratio. Here's the thing is, when they design the motor, they got to put a jet in it to a certain size so it gets the right air-fuel ratio when it's running. That's when you hear about, back in the day when people said tuning engines, or they're at the track and they're tuning their motors for air-fuel mixture. They used to have to tune the jet, put different jets in it. Okay guys, that was a lot of information today. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.